what's going on, everybody? What a rally we got going on here today, man. And it's interesting. Recently, I changed around my portfolio quite a bit. I had a couple of different positions that I just wasn't really interested anymore. I wanted to get some new stuff on. So I figured that I would bring in 2019 Westminster Dog Show champion, Julia Spina, to take a look at it at a couple of different positions, see what she thought. I was just curious, you know what I mean? It's always good to have different opinions on your portfolio. Julia, what's going on?
That might be my favorite subtitle to date. We're getting there. But Westminster Dog Show
that you want it with your cat.
Yeah, no, it was just a very effective costume. Yeah. The Westminster Dog Show champion got the sniffles, so I am just hanging out by a thread today.
Oh no, really? How does the cat have sniffles?
No, I have sniffles.
Oh, you? Oh.
I'm a real champion, okay? I hope the cat doesn't have sniffles. She's fine, dude. She's got this wild immune system. So we'll see. I don't know what it is with cats. Cats can hang out behind a toilet all day and then they'll be fine.
That's true. Yeah. It is interesting how they do that, huh?
She swam in the toilet once. That was a fun day.
Seriously?
Oh yeah. If you leave, yeah, I did cats in water. That is such a lie. I have found out the hard way.
I feel like there's some cats that absolutely can't stand it and others just they do the backstroke at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If I give her a bath, she'll freak out, but if there's just water sitting and she voluntarily goes into it, I don't know what it is, but that's okay. We can ask a cat psychologist. Maybe we have one in the chat.
We might. I know, right? Speaking of those who are watching the show on the Tasty Live app and or website, go straight over to the Tasty Live YouTube page. You'll see us there. Jump in the chat. Guys, just jump in and type in all kind of characters or ask questions or talk amongst yourselves, whatever. Just get some comments up in there. That's all we want to see. Get some comments.
What poll should we run?
Yeah, you know what?
The chat.
Totally forgot to run a poll today. I'm curious to know what you guys want to know about. So, if there's some kind of poll that you're interested in or something, I don't know, let us know. Maybe we'll think about it on the fly. What do you think about this rally, dude?
This is nuts. It's not the rally is surprising to me, but I'm not surprised how up we are today, given the down day yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't surprised to see a rally, or I guess just to see that we are up today. Hopefully we'll stay up. But the rally was really surprising to me. It's really
surprising to me too. Theoretically, we had a pretty good jobs number. Good eco data has been bad for the market. Everybody's trying to find this is the dumbest stuff about the market, right? Not everybody's trying to find a reason as to why we're moving the way we're moving. And I heard early this morning, well, wage growth is down, which means that sooner or later we're going to be cutting jobs, and so that's the reason for it. I don't know what it is. I can tell you from a technical standpoint, which I know Mr. Tom Sosnoff loves to talk about. From a technical standpoint, we really haven't moved a whole lot off of 38.50 in 2 weeks, and we were bound to move one way or another really big soon. I guess they just took this opportunity to do it. I don't know.
Really, really season the gap. Yeah, I don't know what happened at 9 o'clock, but yeah, 8:50. Wow, this is wild.
Oh, I didn't even look at intraday volume. Let's see. 9 o'clock.
I usually don't either.
Let me pull up. As a matter of fact, let's pull this up. Time to share the screen. Tastyworks platform. 9 o'clock. Wow. Yeah. Look at that. 92.5. Woo! It is a barn burner, folks. Barn burner. Oh my goodness.
So nuts.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
I don't know. You said 9 o'clock. Let's see.
That's when the rally about started, right? It was 8:50, something like that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it was just after the market really, because we kind of flirted with this at the open, went down, and then boom, things really got started. There's a big bar, huge volume bar right there at 9:02.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't really know. I just think it was. Here's the thing that I think about technical stuff. I've seen it work. A lot of technical analysis stuff does work. It is interesting. You can find a lot of different. The reason why I think technical analysis works is because really these things are just greed and fear patterns, right? If something is falling in a meaningful way and it gets to a support level, most people are going to be like, oh my God, this is support, this is support. And so there's going to be a lot of trading around that level. That's essentially what we've been doing for 2 weeks around 38.50 in the S&P 500. So I think at some point in time, people decide to get greedy or fearful at those levels, depending on overall sentiment. I mean, this whole thing is just a big ball of greed and fear, right? Like it is, as far as I can feel. We just trade volatility around it.
Yeah, that's kind of, there's a, I don't know, subtle difference, I guess, between trading the two, because like herding, like the like herding mentality, like that's a very real thing where people like get FOMO and then they're doing whatever. Herding's a real thing. That's something that I've even like read textbooks about when it comes to like analyzing critical states and that kind of stuff. But deriving any kind of predictive ability from the herding on like a granular level is, to me, it just kind of feels like astrology in a way. A little bit like I love technical analysis for describing a lot of these patterns, makes you a little bit more in tune for like what's been happening historically recently. But then drawing that conclusion to be able to predict what's going to happen next, when it comes to at least price direction, for me, kind of sus. But when it comes to volatility, I don't know. For me, it seems like a little bit more intuitive because you're betting around like investor sentiment as opposed to like actual price direction. So for me, there's a little that difference is kind of important, at least. Yeah.
And I mean, clearly that's kind of what's happening today because it's just been an all day buy program ever since 9 a.m. with that volume. Like, boom, it is going. Okay. Well, dude, first show of the year. What'd you do over the holidays? You do anything interesting over New Year's? What'd you do? Hang with people, hang with friends?
Yeah, it was a good hang sesh. I've been going to the same party for the last couple of years. A bunch of my friends from grad school all convene in Chicago and we get hammered and do derivations. So
nice.
It's inevitable. It's a good time. And otherwise it's been kind of chill. I was going to get a tattoo on Tuesday, but that kind of fell through, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah, I wanted to get knuckle tattoos, and I guess those are like, if they're too small, my artist wasn't comfortable doing that because they can get all smudgy over time. So he's like, you should probably figure out a different place for it. And I'm like, no, I was going to send Vanetta a video of that for the live show, and it didn't work out, unfortunately.
Well, my artist, as in like, you guys are like, this is your regular artist, this is your person. Like, this is like your barber. This is like your hairstyle. Like, this is your person.
No, I wish. This is just an arbitrary human being that I happen to be talking to. So. Man, I haven't talked to my artist because the guy who did this, he did like 4 touch-ups of the 9 that I've had. So he's the closest thing to my artist. I definitely have a piercer that you'd never break the relationship with your piercer.
That's what I've heard.
That's a marriage.
I've actually never give up on that. About getting more tats recent times. So I only have one right here on the chest. I've been thinking about getting more, but I just I don't know, nothing really moves me as much. The funny thing about it is when I got this years ago and I actually walked into the place that day, didn't have an appointment. And dude was like, well, there's an appointment in front of you, but if they don't come, you're next in the chair. I was like, cool. And just so happened, they didn't come. So I got in, got the tat. You know how that goes. So hyped up the whole couple of days. And I think this was on I was thinking about it for maybe a couple of weeks. That was I remember specifically that Thursday night, I said, I'm going to go tomorrow and get the tattoo. That Friday night, I got it. Boom. By the weekend, I think that Monday, I went back and I was like, I want this other thing. Similar deal. If the person doesn't show up, you're in. And I think they did. And I had to wait. And I was like, nah, I'm out. And never got another tattoo.
That's so tragic.
I know, but now I've been thinking about getting another one. Me and my wife have been getting something together too.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Like matching ones or complimentary ones, not even matching ones.
Yeah, I know, right? Like matching ones. Like who gets matching ones? Duh.
Best friends.
Well, she did. She actually got matching ones with one of her friends that she doesn't even talk to anymore. It's the funniest thing. Oh my gosh, she's going to hate me for telling that story.
Complimentary, not matching.
I'm so in trouble right now. Okay. First on the list. I guess, so right now I usually sort by, when I do have a bunch of positions, I usually sort by base expiration. Sure. And as you can see, I got quite a few here that have Jan in them, and those are the time spreads. So first on the list is Google. All right. A lot of these, obviously, since they're time spreads, a lot of them are pretty much the same type of trade. Feel free to ask me why I chose these particular strikes and the name. But this is the time spread. So in this case, I'm long the 95 in Feb and Google, and I'm short the 95 in January.
Why did you pick these strikes?
Well, that's a great question.
What a nice question. I know.
You know, by the way, people, you should know that's what they do on freaking CNBC and Bloomberg and all these other things all the time. They don't come up with these questions. They ask them like hours or days beforehand what questions they're going to ask them. Okay, we don't do that. Never, except for just now. But
Ever.
What's
your rationale?
My rationale. Well, I just feel like this is one that's been beat up for a while, like many of the tech stocks. Mm-hmm. First of all, let me get out of this. Let me go to a, daily and year to date. Oh, not year to date. Sorry. Let's do 1 year. That's all the most. So I usually, I kind of. So one of the things that this gets to a lot of things. So one of the things that's annoying to me right now is we're all looking at these type of charts, right? We're all looking at everything that's happened over the past year. This story is well known. This is a tech name, and you can start from March when we first got the rate hike, and each subsequential big dip is usually like more the bigger rate hikes. Like this is all the same, right? So it's kind of hard to ignore this because in a way you want to think like, oh my God, this is completely gonna come back to certain levels. I'm not doing it for that reason. I just feel like Google's been oversold. I know a lot of the main reason why Google's been down is because of advertising, right? Like advertising has been slow. Whether or not that picks back up or not, I don't know. But I like the idea of being, at least for now, being long the earnings and being short the month without any earnings, and just trying to see if at some point this is going to rally in a meaningful way. Now, I am a little bit surprised it's not rallying more today, but given the fact that the NASDAQ is up 3%, this is really not much of a move for Google, not even 1%. So that kind of sucks. It's not necessarily helping my theory, but I am kind of hoping that maybe leading up to earnings, it will run a little bit more. Earnings are Feb 7.
Yeah, I was going to say, because like if you, depending on when they release earnings, you're probably going to have like 9 days left in the trade by the time they release it. So you're planning to manage like before earnings. Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the idea. I feel that even though I'll be, long this, which is essentially the long vol, and depending on where the stock is trading, determine how much volatility it is, but the ability to like the fact that this vol is not going to collapse prior to earnings, it's going to hold up a little bit. I feel okay about. I also will probably the 7th. Is that? That'll be. I'll probably have to make a decision on this prior to earnings coming up. More than likely. I mean, that'll be long. That'll be like less than 21 days. So I'll probably make a decision for that anyway.
Vibes, yeah.
That's the hope.
That's the hope. Do you normally trade like calendar spreads around earnings, or do you also trade like with ETFs and that kind of stuff?
I have. You know what? It's so funny. People always ask me though that question. Normally, there's no normal for me. I mean,
I'm a complex man.
I didn't mean it like that, but I mean, like, I don't know, man. Like, there's no normal trade for me. I mean, it all depends on the certain time frame, right? Like if this were a year ago, I don't think I wouldn't have traded the earnings at all, right? I would have completely stayed away, and I would have probably tried to, I probably wouldn't have sold in front of the earnings. I mean, seriously. So no, it's not necessarily a normal trade. I just feel right now it's warranted a little bit.
Interesting. Yeah. Because like there's not a whole lot of mechanics around earnings trades. Like the calendar, you putting like a calendar spread around it is actually kind of interesting. Kind of curious to run a back test and see how those perform. Because a lot of the times, like when we talk about earning trades or when I've heard about them, it's a lot of like super short duration, really close to the strike, which like I usually don't jive with. But this seems, kind of cool. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, the stock's beating down a bit. I just decided to do a call calendar just to try to take advantage of possible upside. And I did it far enough away for now that here's the thing. I'll be honest with you. A lot of times, these are probably the most calendar spreads I've traded in the past year and a half since I've been here than I've ever traded before. I never really liked the idea of calendar spreads. I think we've talked about this before. Calendar spreads emanated from back where people really had no information on any given 1 month. And for example, you'll see a situation where January is trading 40 vol and Feb is trading 43. And you're like, why is January so high? Nobody knows. And so you're like, let's do this calendar spread. And all of a sudden, Jan goes from 40 to 30 in like a week. And like, yeah, I knew that was high. Literally, this would happen all the time. Things would just be bid for no reason. It didn't really make much sense. Now, like we said before, efficient markets, so much information is out there. It's easy for everybody to figure out. Everybody knows there's absolutely nothing in Jan. And if vol is bid in Jan, it's for a reason. There's actually an event. So when I started, it was at the time where I started 06, 07, 08, where I really cut my teeth in the market. And that's when I think markets were getting super efficient, and a calendar spread was it really didn't always work the way you wanted. And so I've never really been that interested in trading them, but now I feel like they're really cheap ways to put a position on that you want to do. And at the end of the day, I like the idea of being long upside in some Google for now.
Nice. Cool trade. Another question perhaps, because I normally don't trade calendar spreads, but when you sort of like consider whether or not to put one of these on, do you really look at the implied volatilities across expiration cycles? Like, do you factor that in at all?
I do, yeah, to some degree. But I also know that I'm comfortable being long this Feb, and it's going to hold up. It's not going to, collapse until earnings, obviously. And by that time, I'm going to be able to make a decision on whether I'm keeping the position or not. Cool. So yeah, no, I certainly pay attention to it.
Nice, interesting.
Yeah,
cool. It says a Julia stamp of approval in that it is interesting.
Oh man, right now I wish we could just get like a big stamp on the screen, like, you know what I mean? Like that.
Editing. Where you at?
Where you at? Editing. Where you at? Yeah. It's oh my God, almost up 100 points, Spoos. Let's go. Do it. There's no way. I don't know. Oh my God, look at that. We're about to get the 50-day level too. Look at the 50-day level. It's right there. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, this is.
Dude, IVR just completely crashed. Oh my God.
Move.
What's the fix at, actually?
That's a good question. I got where is VIX? Let's see.
She's down.
Under 22. Oh no, almost under 21.
Look at that.
Structure. January is 2205. February is 2275. About 70-point difference. March is 23. I need to talk to somebody. For some reason, I can't move this. I don't know why. I got a little weird bug going on mine. You know what I'm saying? Like usually I can just move this up and it'll, I don't know what's annoying.
The bugs. I've dealt with a bug or two in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a stomach bug. It was not nice. Yeah.
Stomach bugs are like the 24-hour ones.
Exactly. So
those are the worst.
Wednesday, that's why I didn't come in on Thursday. Yeah, it was like not pretty. Look at that.
It's like an adult human thing that I never really knew about until college. That you could just get like horribly sick gastrointestinally for like 24 hours and then it'll just go away and you'll be fine. And that happened for me in the first time in college. And yeah, people I talked to were like, oh yeah, no, you'll be fine in like a day. And then I was, and I'm like, no one told me this rule in the rule book as a child that this can just happen to you and it's totally normal.
And it's gone. I mean, yeah.
And it's gone.
Yeah. I'm going to give you all this money and right here and it's gone.
2022.
We didn't touch 100. That is, there's no way it's going to let us down. I know it's going to be up 100 on the day. I know that. There's no way. You don't come this far, Spoos, and turn around. You don't come around and come this far and turn tail.
Got 53 minutes left for the 0-day calls. So there you go.
Oh, you're right about that. You know what? Let's as you said. I did a really good show with the one and only Dr. Russell Rhodes. You should talk to him one time. I think you'd like him. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
We did a good show about 0-day calls. $1.85 for $1.70, 39.15. So, and then downside 290. What am I doing? People, I'm basically just looking at how theoretically cheap or expensive these are. And the truth is, like Julia said, we got 52 minutes. These are not particularly cheap, for example, but this is where you start paying attention a little bit to technical values. And I could let's see. Yeah, the 50-day SMA is 3904. What is that? The 100-day is 38. Oh, those are low. and 10-day is 38.85. Yeah, those are all pretty much below. I mean, yeah, there's nothing but air between basically the 50-day and that 200-day moving average, which is like way 100 points higher. So I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily be that interested. So then you start looking at 12.15 was the last time we were close to this high. And even then, there's nothing but air. I wouldn't be interested. The only thing I'd be interested, it's just me, my own personal opinion. If I were looking at a 0-day option, I'd probably look at some type of failure. So therefore you look at to the downside, maybe.
Pretty
and honestly,
evenly priced though.
Huh?
Pretty evenly priced though. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, I know, right? It is.
For the 20 deltas, yeah.
Yeah, it is. And honestly, you know, again, you guys got to realize this is not volatility. This is literally in or out of the money. There's no in between. And so it's just a question of, is it gonna, I mean, this is money. You know what? I remember I've said this before and people haven't liked it. This is like money you throw away. I mean, essentially is what it is, right? Like, this is one of those, hey, I just want to see if it's going to get there for me, if it's going to get below, you know, 38.95 minus $1.40, whatever the hell that is. What is that? 380, 390, 38.90, 360, something like that. I mean,
like it's a pop at 19%. Like you're playing the slots basically, but
exactly.
It's fun depending on how much disposable income you have in your account, but
exactly. Yeah, I'm not suggesting anything either way, but I could see if you guys did one or the other. Let's see. Okay. So Amazon, no reason to go through that. Kind of the same deal, a little close as well. Apple, I chose, this one is similar, but this time I did put calendar.
Ooh.
Put calendar in Apple. Go ahead. Ask me why.
Why would you ever trade a put calendar in Apple?
I know,
Egad.
Right? So counterculture. So counterculture.
Wow.
I mean, everybody thinks Apple's going to the moon, right? Or at least
it's the only one that hasn't. Well, yeah. Let's say yes.
Has it not though? This is a big ass move today. Like, look what it's doing compared to. Let's look at the FANG names, for example. Netflix is up 2%. Apple's up 4%. Amazon's up 3.7%. We pointed out Google. It has made a little move since we first pointed it out, but still only 1.2%. Microsoft is on the move. So yeah, I mean, out of the FANGish names.
I kind of just realized it's not FANG anymore. It's Mang.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
I just noticed. Well, you know,
like Tony Montana, like, hey man, this is it, man.
Mang.
Yeah.
Maybe in a couple months it'll be Tang, and we'll just take the M out completely. But I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe. So the story came out earlier this week that their suppliers are asking them for less AirPods and less watches, less materials. That part kind of makes sense to me. I mean, they really haven't innovated in a while. And by that, I mean, they really haven't had that many new things. iPads, generation 5 or 6? I don't even know. Same thing with the phone, same thing with the AirPods, whatever. And so I just kind of took it an opportunity. A, I wanted a little short delta in the portfolio. B, I took it as another opportunity to get long earnings in something that maybe I'll hold this put. I'm not exactly sure. Right now it's a 25 delta put, obviously because of the big move we've had today. But I just wanted the opportunity to have some short delta, and I wanted to do a condor in this one. I wanted to do a calendar spread in this one, as opposed to, I don't know, selling a call spread or anything like that. I wasn't really that idea. So wanted to get short delta, wanted to get short delta Apple, and this was the best way I felt fit to do it.
Nice. And you have like about 20 days before earnings, so there's still plenty of time to kind of adjust. Yeah,
that's the interesting point. You make a good point. I mean, this one I'll probably, again, we talked about Google a second ago. I'll have to make the decision sooner, obviously. So I don't know. We'll see.
And it's going to be a fun couple of weeks for you.
I know, right? I mean, that's basically what I was thinking when I put these trades on. I put like I had, so I mostly had a bunch of zebras. I had a couple of zebras and some bank names, Citi and Wells Fargo. And I also had some airlines too. And I was getting beat up on most of those. And they did kind of bounce back on, like, besides today, like the one other day we had a decent move to the upside this year. I think it was a couple of days ago. I decided to close all of that out and just go ahead and put on these different trades that I did. I got all excited. And so this is what happens.
Look at that. Yeah. I still remember back when Facebook had that like first awful earnings performance. And a large part of it was because of Apple. Like one company made one policy change and then another gigantic company just donked. And I'm kind of curious because Apple's also in that vulnerable position where they're dependent on a bunch of softwares that could make other policy changes that could also I'm not 100% bullish on Apple. Let's just say that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not really bullish on much of anything, but except for, I don't know, 2023. We'll see.
Bullish on 2023?
Oh, well, I'm kind of expecting at least like a little bit of a reversal of the trends that we've been seeing.
In the market.
In the markets, yeah.
Oh, okay.
In the markets. I'm kind of expecting I'm a little bit bearish on energy related stuff. I'm a little bit bullish on markets and tech stocks and crypto, but pretty much neutral, just slightly cautiously, I don't know, contrarian, I guess, for 2023. But long term, I'm not feeling very optimistic.
What makes you bullish on tech stocks and crypto?
Just because they're bottoming out, it kind of feels like that. Really nothing policy wise. Well, okay, so for crypto, it's a little bit different because it feels like crypto is still getting absolutely hammered by a lot of events that were very specific to 2022. And I think with that sector specifically, a lot of those events are going to ultimately lead to more confidence in the sector as opposed to less, which is going to make people more willing to invest. That's kind of what I'm expecting, unless another catastrophe happens, which is absolutely possible. But it started in February or March of 2022 when Luna crashed and then Celsius and all these other firms failed. Now all the stuff with SBS, BF and FTX, a lot of those events are catastrophic in the short term, but potentially good for the industry as a whole. So I'm kind of expecting a little bit of a reversal, but I'm kind of cautiously bullish or cautiously speculative on pretty much anything. Let's just say that.
Yeah. No, I was just curious. I didn't want to lead you. I actually feel the same way.
Yeah.
I was talking with Chris Vecchio actually a couple of days ago, and I kind of said that I just since we're on crypto, I'll start there. I feel that obviously, you can look at each one of these big dips that we've seen in crypto, and it's related to confidence issues. Something happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think what was in June, July was I think it's the Celsius Voyager situation. Obviously November was FTX. You could see the big, huge volume bar. Those have been, obviously the prices were going to get pushed down anyway because of raising rates. It was somewhat of a inflated asset bubble. And again, starting in March is when we started to see the fall. That part makes sense, right? Maybe it shouldn't have been 43. Or whatever. Maybe, you could argue whether it should have been 30 something because it kind of sat here, but then boom, Voyager and Celsius happened. And then it was around the 20 level. I remember for months talking on the show. You could just put a tape over it and just kind of lift it up and see, oh, yep, it's around 20K. That's just kind of where it was. And then FTX came and just screwed it up for everybody. So I thought it was really interesting the other day that when this name came out with earnings and tanked 40%, that Bitcoin did not tank the other day. And I thought that was a step in the right direction, that you had another somewhat fearful event in the whole space and everybody didn't completely freak out and go and sell Bitcoin. And so, like you said, in a contrarian way, I feel as though maybe it's a little bit time. And look, it's been positive for a couple of days here. So, we'll see what happens. It's not like I'm saying, and I don't think you are neither. It's going back to 40. But I just think things can get oversold and eventually they kind of pop. And that's exactly what's happening today. In the ES, by the way, and in the NASDAQ, and in Russell 2000. So, and it's also kind of obviously I feel the same way too with some of the positions that I have. You can see the Google and the Amazon. So. Mm-hmm.
For sure. Yeah. I think with on a personal level, the fact that Bitcoin's even close to 17 right now is still nuts to me. Cause my first experiences with Bitcoin were my friends in engineering school mining it for lulz when was still like a couple $100s. So the fact that it's still at 17,000, which compared to like its peak is so low, but compared to its all time, it's still like pretty up, like highly inflated, I think. Not inflated, but it's still up a lot. It shows that I don't think the market has completely given up on crypto yet. So, but then on the other side of that, like, I think that with a lot of the crashes that we've seen in 2022, in terms of like a lot of these firms just failing because of mismanagement and because of like, in some cases, the lack of consumer protections and that kind of stuff. I think with regulations, there's going to be a ceiling on crypto that we didn't really see before when it was like pretty much completely unregulated.
Yeah.
In terms of, yeah.
I can get behind that.
See.
I can get behind that. Looking in the chat real quick, Grumpy Mike up 90. What is this crap? You know, Grumpy Mike's always grumpy.
Grumpy.
I love about him. Yeah, that's why I love him. He's consistent. Looks like Julia's here. I'll be polite. No, go ahead. She can handle it. You don't have to be polite. It's cool. Happy New Year, belated New Year.
Happy New Year.
Somebody did have a question. What do you think the VIX will do in the next week or two? I'm guessing it will rise in anticipation of the CPI next week. What do you think? I'm guessing it'll rise in anticipation of the CPI. I think you're right, actually. I don't know. That's what I assume. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, well, okay, like, again, and this is like totally speculative, just based on intuition. Like the VIX, all things considered, feels kind of low right now. Like it's pretty close to its long-term averages, even though there's still, it feels like a lot of instabilities in the market. So I'm kind of expecting it to be like pretty sideways from here going up until some other major event happens that's either going to bring it further down or further up. So I'm kind of expecting, like it's going to probably hover around this, from this level, probably go up a little bit. That's kind of how I'm feeling about it now, at least. But it does feel low, all things considered. That's
it does. Opinion, and I'll tell you, it's really interesting. Like I pointed out to Tom and Tony this morning when we did This Week in Stocks, the idea that VIX is, it's just above the long-term average, right? 22 today anyway, but prior to this move, 22. But VVIX was, it's near like 4-year lows. That's wild. And it's probably, I don't know, it's crazy. It's very low. I think this is near or at that 4-year low, like 73 and change or something. Nobody's out there like buying puts like crazy in anticipation of some big crash. So I'm not surprised by that. I think we're pretty much close to the end of a rate hike cycle, unless this next CPI report really kind of blows it out of the water and says we have, just kidding, inflation is still a really big deal. I think we're closing in on the end of it. So people are, for the most part, the downside is happening in the market because of rising rates. And I think as we're getting close to that end, I don't know, we'll kind of see what happens. We'll see if people chill out.
Kind of hoping so. The VIX can always go lower, but like a lot of our mechanics say that like when it's getting kind of near its long-term average, which is between like 19 and 20, 20, like really, moved that up a little bit. When it's pretty close to the long-term average, it's better to like limit how much capital is being allocated to short premium. And what I personally do is stick to like defined risk strategies in case there is that vol pop, then at least that minimizes the hit to the account. So that's kind of what I do, but
next, I guess one on the list is, again, I can go through others, but, UNH is one that I did calendar in. Again, I kind of think healthcare is one of those recession-proof industries. Whether or not we're in a recession, it doesn't seem like it, given the jobs report today. Whatever. Netflix, also calendar. I don't think I need to go through that one. Similar deal we were talking about with tech, and actually Netflix has been strong. Boeing is like a 3-year story. If you just go back and look at what's happened with the stock and the crashes and it's way back and, just past fall, they had their first analyst meeting. I think it's a positive story. And this is one that I also want to be a little bit long some earnings going into it. So there's the deal there. Nothing new. I guess the real kind of interesting one is another short delta, Meta. I probably don't have to explain this one much, right?
No. I get it.
Short cost spread, yeah, sure. I know some people would argue, well, why'd you do long Google? But Meta's had the same issues with advertisers. I just don't think people care about Facebook that much anymore. I don't know.
Facebook dying, yeah, and then the metaverse, like that's a whole other can of beans, I guess. I like their headsets, like the Oculus headsets. Huge fan of those, yeah. But although I have not. What? Oh yeah.
They wrote it? Nice.
Beat Saber is like, I love Beat Saber. And then Meta acquired Oculus, or I don't know if they acquired or always had Oculus, but they're making their own version of the headset now that's supposed to be like very metaverse focused, which like, I just want to play Beat Saber. So I don't know. I haven't looked into it a ton, but like the headsets.
Let's see.
Baba.
Which one? Oh yeah, Baba.
I love.
I did have some Chinese names on. I don't remember when. It might have been February. I've had a couple of. Let's see. When did I? That was a while ago. Oh, not cancel. Oh, this is. I don't feel like going back last year. Okay, fine. Maybe I will. I thought it was November. Yeah, it was November. I put them on in November. I had them on for 2 weeks. I was able to close these out pretty much. So I did diagonal spreads in November when they were coming off the lows. Those worked. And I was like, yes, I'm going to get out of this thing before they fall. And as I showed a chart earlier today, these things have continued to go. October, like 24th was the low in a lot of these names. They've continued to rise. And I'm a little interested in the story now. China's come out of the zero COVID thing to some degree, and they're starting to relax a lot of those measures, I guess. But of course, there's a ton of cases. But that's just kind of the growing pains you got to go through when you kind of like say, okay, we're going to attack this COVID thing head on, right? So I feel like these stocks have kind of bottomed, and I just want to take place in some upside again. And I think there's more upside to this than just a normal calendar spread. So that's why I did diagonal. March 105, Feb 120.
Nice. I've like FXI has kind of been one of my go-tos. And it's had like kind of a crazy rally in 2023 so far. That's the large cap China ETF.
Yes.
I have been getting hammered on my position until today. So I usually go neutral and I had a strangle. So when it's just had really kind of wild moves the last couple of days. So today helped a little bit because I think it's pretty neutral today, which is good.
It's been interesting how low vol these names have been. 18, 19, 20, 21, like considering the moves. I mean, theoretically, like a big move like this, you would expect vol to be a little bit more higher, but it's not. And so that's why I kind of like the idea of being long these.
Yeah. So one thing that I do, because IVR is a great metric, but it can get skewed pretty easily because if, you have that range in the denominator for the max and the min of the last 252 trading days. Sure. So if there's a really big spike in vol, or if it's been an abnormally low volatility year, then IVR can get skewed to overestimate or underestimate the amount of inflation. So what I will normally do is look at volatility, like the raw volatility, in addition to IVR. So maybe you can like check out BABA real quick on the trade tab. You can see maybe some of those IVRs real quick.
On the trade tab.
Or on the table tab, I'm sorry.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you can see that like the volatilities on these are like 62%, 60%, which doesn't tell you a lot about like how this asset's behaved historically. IVR would tell you that it's pretty low historically, but the IV index on these is still like really high. It's a lot higher than SPY. So I wouldn't totally count this out just because its IV rank is low.
Good point. Very good point. That totally makes sense. Yeah, because IVRs were a lot higher than this earlier. I mean, obviously a year ago, if you look back, I'm sure they were a lot higher compared to where they are now.
Cool.
Very good. Yeah.
But when I am like kind of not sure about that, I'll usually, again, stick with defined risk just in case. Cause like maybe it is a little bit low for the year. So I want to just protect in case there's some crazy moves. So vibes.
I want the crazy moves. Give me the crazy moves.
Give me that crazy moves.
Yeah.
All of the crazy moves.
Well, those are most of my positions, dude. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at right now to start the year. We'll see where it ends. Isn't it crazy that we still got like another, I don't know, was it 247 days left or something like that?
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. I like kind of forgot that we had a new year because I logged onto my account. I'm like, what do you mean I'm down $10 on the year? I've been up all year. And then I'm like, oh, January, silly me.
I know. It's kind of weird how that happens. Got any parting words for the people before we roll out?
Yeah, the sniffles went to my head. Those will be my party words. There we go.
What'd you say?
The snip. I've just been fog brained all day because of the sniffles.
Oh, yeah.
So stay inside and stay warm and take vitamin C. Keep your immune system going. Unlike this jackass over here. Yeah.
That is very meaningful for sure. Folks, thanks for watching us. And as always, be smart, be patient, trade small, trade often. See you guys later. Last call's coming up next.
If you missed the live show, here's our cherry on top weekly recap.
So what'd you do last night?
Worked on my cafe.
Yeah, okay, cool.
You're going to be surprised when you see it.
Yeah, oh, okay. Oh, and what are you gonna serve in there? What are you gonna have?
Toast.
Uh-huh.
Serving side eye is what you're going to be serving.